Men of the old ways had a way of summarizing life in a single sentence. This also lies true to the statement of a good day begins in the morning, and the seniors have an eye for such days. Meet Francis Amonde, a star born to shine his light upon the doomed and gloomy community of poverty.
I'm Francis Amonde, born and raised in a place called Oyugis, County. And so, yeah, that's where life began for me. And then I schooled at a school called Kasimba Primary School, which is still within Homabay County. Then for high school, I went to River Boys, which is in a place called Karachuonyo. And then I didn't finish up high school there. I went to another school, which was a day school, because of challenges in life. So I ended up at a day school called St. Peter's, also in Homabay County. So yeah, so that has been it. And then growing up, life was just, let me say, normal. At least we got to enjoy childhood in terms of you have playmates around and you go to the river, do some swimming, do come back and deny, but our eyes were always red. So even if you deny that you didn't go swimming, your eyes would betray you. Your body was white everywhere, you're black and then you have white stuff on your body, and you're like, no, I didn't go to the river today. So yeah, so that was interesting. And yeah, I loved that childhood, because I think for majority of kids these days, they don't get to enjoy that. So that was quite an amazing thing for us. And yeah, and also the fact that we were doing kind of subjects that tended to encourage people to do all manner of things, be it art, be it music. There was art and craft, there was music, there was agriculture. So these days we have CBC, so that was our CBC back then. And we got to learn so much, yes. After high school, now I needed to have something to do in terms of studies. And then immediately after high school, I did my high school in 2008. And immediately after that, then I got a call from someone who had a restaurant in Kitengela. So the restaurant had kind of, the business had kind of collapsed. So they needed someone to revive it. So I was just fresh from high school. And then I received that call, and then I was told if I can go try do some magic for that restaurant. So that's how I ended up in Nairobi. So I came, and that was immediately after Form 4, just before even the year ended. So I came. Yes, so I came and started work. I got to know the staff that were there, the chef, the waiters, and then everyone was working there. And it was quite a ride. Initially, we were supposed to be closing at 8. And then along the way, I realized if you close at 8, most of the customers who are coming for chicken and they were buying a full chicken, they would come past 8. So I said, this is where most of the cash is. So I decided to talk to the employees and tell them, okay, can we guys be closing at 10? And then so that you can make more money and I'll be able to pay you your daily wages, and then also the business can be able to make money. And they agreed.
He started to shine on his first career, but there was more to life, as he narrates.
I practiced journalism, but in a very small way. There was a vernacular radio station called Gulf Radio, where I happened to be a reporter. I remember one day I walked into the studio, and then by then the late Mutula Kilozo Jr. was the Minister of Education. So he was attending some education day. There is education day in that area, and then I came and told the head of programs that, today there is the this education day, and the minister is going to be the chief guest for that day. And then no one had reported to work by then. And the guy just ends up, he was called Mr. Paul. So he tells me, oh, okay, pick stuff and go. I'm like, that was my first time to be sent out in the field. I'm like, yes, you're going to do live reporting. I'm like, okay, I've never done this before. This is new. And I was given the recorders, and I was like, where? So that's how I went to the field for the first time. I was used to being in the newsroom, so I went to the field. And yes, it turned out to be the best news item I've ever had. Because they played it and replayed it until the next day they also played it, and they were like, how did you get to know how to do this? I'm like, no, I just went and I had to do it. I had no otherwise. You are there in the field and you have to do your thing and, and deliver. So, and there don't places for mistakes. You go cover and you bring back the work. So that was interesting. 2011 happened and I was still in school. And so in that year, I paid a visit to my mom in the primary school where she was a teacher. And then when I paid her a visit, I found kids in the school. By then the school had mud walls. Today they have at least permanent classrooms. So these kids were not looking that healthy. So I was like, why are these kids looking so weak and everything? So I made a point of inquiring and getting to know what is their story, because I love hearing people's stories. So, and then they told me, like, for these kids, most of them are either partial or total orphans. So when they come to school, they are under the care of mostly their grandparents, and these grandparents don't have like a sustainable way of having an income, and so they can't be able to afford 3 square meals in a day. So that is what was contributing to them coming to school looking the way they looked, like weak and not looking that healthy. So it meant that being that they were not able to get 3 square meals a day, most of them would come to school either without breakfast or both breakfast and supper the previous night. And so I was like, wow, what could I do? Because I was just a student. So I had been passionate about kids growing up. So I was like, what could I do in a small way to at least address the problem? And then I wanted to have rice and beans for these kids. But when I did the course thing, it was just too expensive. I was like, I can't afford this. I'm a student. Where am I going to get the money to do it? Because I wanted something I could afford. Then I said, how about I do uji, because I loved porridge. So then that is how the idea of uji clicked. But it was not the one that we currently use. It was just white maize. You go grind to bring the flour to the school.
This journey has various shapes of challenges, but these have never darkened his brilliance.
That was interesting because someone from social media just came to my inbox and said, there is this school, would you mind supporting them? And I'm like, where is the school? Then the school is in West Pokot. I thought it was maybe close to Kapenguri because Kapenguri is where the headquarters of the county is. Then I got to Kapenguria, and that's when I realized that was quite a journey, because by then I went using public means. I just wanted to see, okay, what's the distance like, what's the terrain like, and everything. I think, and then now from Kapenguria, there is a stage where we got, and we used a shuttle to that stage. Now from that stage, now onwards, which was a distance that I think the motorbike guy covered like 2 hours. There are no vehicles beyond that point, so you only have a motorbike. But the interesting thing was, like, this motorbike guy was having a gun. So I'm like, so I asked him, like, okay, so you have a gun. What, me, if something happens, I don't have one, so what happens to me? It was like, no, you are safe. So it was a very interesting journey, rough road for that 2 hours. And I told him, there's no way you are leaving me this side. So wait for me, I finish with the school, and then we have to go. Because I didn't see where I could get another motorbike to take me back. So that was quite something interesting. And I was like, wow, okay. So yeah, I get to thank God for so many things sometimes, yes. And then even if they gave us a classroom, the thing was, I had the fear of sleeping in the classroom because, one, there is an area, most of such areas have snakes. So snakes just roam around. So the possibility of a snake getting into the classroom and finding me on the floor, I was like, I think I would rather die on another side than die on the floor of a classroom of a school that we are supporting. So yeah, that was quite something.
Despite all these struggles, Francis keeps walking with his eyes focused on his goal.
Okay, the kids look more healthy and they're very bubbly. Like sometimes I look at images and I'm like, are these the same kids that we started with or something? They're so bright. And I'm like, this is just porridge and they're already bright like this. So what if you are giving a whole meal, you know? So yes. And then attendance, you see, it is almost zero absenteeism because there is something in school. Aside from just going to study, there is something, the assurance that there is porridge in school is something that is so huge for them. Because I remember even early this year, a friend of mine came and was like, there's a kid who is longing to meet you. And there I was at home in Homa Bay County. And I'm like, what's up? Like, they've just been longing to come and say thank you to you, but they say it because they are unable to reach wherever you are. So they sent us to like go and tell him things. And then I was like, why are they thanking me? They're like, because whatever you are providing in the school, which was Kasimba Primary School, which is in Homa Bay County, is able to keep them going for the day. Because for the it was actually a girl, so they said like for that girl, like the mom passed away, and so the dad remarried, and so the lady who the dad remarried didn't like her, and so as a way of punishing her, she wasn't being given food at home. So the only thing she gets is the porridge that she finds in school. Yes. So that porridge meant so much for her. Interestingly, we've been doing feeding, but as we do feeding, other things crop up. You fed a kid, they have performed well, they have gone to high school, they don't have school fee. So along the way, we come up with other programs that supplement on the feeding. So that's how we ended up having a program called Building Lives, which just gives scholarships to students in high school and in university, so they're able to pursue. We give them tuition fee, we give them pocket money, we do shopping for them, so that they can be able to pursue. And they've been performing well. The last one we had was a boy from Maranda. He comes from Nakuru, but he went to school in Maranda and he got an A- in his KCSE. So we are just so happy to just be able to make a difference in their lives. And along the way, you also have girls. You go to a school and they're like, we don't have enough sanitary towels, and we're like, okay. So we started a program called Girls Dignity, just to give sanitary pads to girls.
And as the sages said, if you want to walk fast, walk alone. But if you want to go far, walk with others. From Oyugis to West Pokot, from Kilifi County and to the heart of Nairobi, Francis does walk.
School is interesting. So initially there was a school that we were supporting in Ganze in Kilifi County. And then one day as I was going to that school to deliver supplies, a friend of mine who works in Kilifi said, along the road as you go to that other school, there is this school. Just make a point of passing through the school and see for yourself. I don't want to say much, but just see it for yourself and then see what you can do for the school. I was like, okay, I'm not promising, but I'll pass by. So after I had delivered the supplies, then I told the guy we had gone with, I told him, okay, let's search for this school. So we were asking people around and then they gave us the directions. It's in an interior part. So we went to the school. The school didn't have a fence. And then, okay, in the 21st century, the school still has mud-walled classrooms. And it's a public school. And the kids were sitting on the floor. And I was like, yes, literally, they don't have desks. Up to now, even as we speak, they still don't have desks. And then, what was interesting is the fact that there were kids that were learning in shifts. There is a particular class that would come to school only in the afternoon because they didn't have enough classrooms, but there was a tree where they could have a class. But even if they included the tree, it still wouldn't be enough. So there was a class, I don't know whether it was class 2 or class 1, they would come to school in the afternoon so that they can make use of the space, and as the rest now leave. So I was like, this is interesting. So that is how, after seeing that and also seeing the condition of the school, then I said, okay, let me just try and see if we can get resources to just be able to do them the porridge. And yeah, so far so good. We've been able to support them. Yeah. Kawangware Primary. It was interesting because we had been supporting mostly community schools in slums. But the community schools, most of them had been so disappointing. Either you'd take supplies, and then after a week you go, you realize some bit of the supplies are missing. So I was like, I really need grace to deal with these people because there is no way we do so much work trying to even raise funds and even trying to get resources, and then someone misuses. So I was like, no, let's cancel all community schools. We are no longer supporting community schools. Let us only support public primary schools. And then now we started going around. So it also depended on the reception you were receiving. Some schools, you get to the school, no one wants to attend to you. The teachers just look at you and you're like, oh, where's the head teacher? Oh, the teacher is not around. Is there someone you can talk to? And everyone is just walking by. So we're like, okay, this is interesting. So because we wanted to support at least one school, one public primary school in Nairobi. So we just went around, and now when we walked into Kangwari Primary, the teacher was so welcoming, and we were like, oh, okay, this is interesting. And he was like, can you even start today? I'm like, no. we couldn't start immediately there. So yeah, it is. It happens to be one of the schools that has the highest number of students, because when we were starting, there were at roughly between 2,300 to 2,400 pupils. Right now they're at 2,700. Yeah, yes, it has been helping, because whenever there is UJI, because normally the arrangement we have with the schools is that the UJI is given before they start classes, so that when someone came to school without having had something, at least they're able to concentrate in class. Yes.
The son of the Oyugis has a special instrument to measure the success of his mission and is forever grateful.
There are moments you walk into a school and it reaches that time of serving the kids porridge, and you see the level of joy, and you're like, regardless of whatever, how low you are feeling, you're just like, wow, this kid is just happy because we just porridge, like a simple meal as porridge, So that is something that really keeps us going, and also just to see the performance improving, the attendance is okay, absenteeism rates reducing, and them just jumping around, and even the teachers telling you like they're able to have students in class who are more active also in class as opposed to being passive. It's something that really keeps us going. Just seeing the smiles of those kids, that's enough power to keep us going. Yes. Okay, what I can say is this: it has been a journey. It takes a lot of sacrifice. Sometimes you miss sleep. For those of us who love sleep, sometimes you stay awake the whole night, and someone calls you, and you're like, "You mean you're still awake?" And they wonder what you're doing in the middle of the night awake. No, you're thinking of some 5,000 children who need to have food the next morning. So it takes a lot of hard work. It takes a lot of sacrifices. It takes passion. You really need to be passionate about anything that you do. And what I can say is, I can only urge everyone out there, each one reach one. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to reach out to the 5,000 that we reach out to. You can reach just one kid or one person. Just make a difference. Extend some hand of kindness to just one person. That will go a long way.